This is the O Review podcast. O Review.
All right, welcome to the big one. This is something that's been requested for quite a while, and if you've been checking out my channel, you may have noticed a couple days ago I did provide an overview video, but that was going to be more mainly for the retail aspects. I believe it's going to be used internally with Sunglass Hut, and they wanted to sort of cover the things you could actually buy in store, as well as a couple of the other Sunglass Hut editions. So what I'm going to do now is it's just going to be more of a vlog style, because apparently people like that more and they like to hear me ramble for 7 to 10 minutes about something. But before I start, I wanted to get a couple things out of the way that I've been meaning to do for a couple of videos. First is there's a brand new channel out there called Steve O Sunglasses, and he's doing a lot of in-depth reviews. He's also taking a look at lens tints, things like that, more than just simple unboxing and things like that. He's actually going into very detailed reviews of each model he has, as well as a lot of the technology and aspects that makes Oakley. Another one is iSpy0099. He's also going to be doing a review of the Madman, so once this video goes live, I will put that in the description so you can check that out as well. He's kind of the one who inspired me to start doing video reviews, and as such, he's got plenty of more videos out there for you to see. So let's take a look. So you may have seen these around. So these are just the standard cases which come with the Oakley Badman and the Oakley Madman. So two different styles debuting at the same time. The official release was February 15th, but due to numerous wholesalers and leaks and things like that, they ended up pushing up the date. The only one that was released on the 15th was the limited edition Madman, which had a raw frame and fire lenses. It also had a aluminum case that was modeled after the M84 stun grenade, although the stun grenade kind of fits in your hand, whereas this one was obviously full size, big enough for the glasses. That one sold out pretty much in one day, even though it had the price of $1,000. I thought that was a little steep. I think these are a little steep too, but apparently the market could bear it and people bought it. So the Badman is more of the conservative everyday model. It fits really, really well. I wore these all day, and unlike the original X metals, which I'll get to in a second, these don't clamp on your head. You don't have that weird squint where you kind of tighten up your temples before you put it on. I did talk about this in a previous video, but they do have spring hinge, and they just don't have that vice grip on your head. The next one is the Madman, which is more of the mad scientist look, and you got to have a little bit of guts to go out in public with these. But I love them. They just really kind of scratch that itch for something really crazy. Probably the biggest comparison is going to be the Mars, although I think these are even further out there than the Mars. I also think they look a lot like the Moons, just from the fact the way they fold, the ear stems extend well past the orbitals. But obviously being metal, the Mars would be the bigger comparison. So the biggest question on everyone's mind is, or are these X metal? And there is a definitive answer that I have. And my answer is, who cares? They're called X metal. Yes, Oakley has released a statement saying that X metal was never designed to be just titanium. It was design aesthetics, price point, things like that. And that's kind of what they're sticking with now. It's design aesthetics, design language, and then, of course, the higher tier price point. Brian Takumi, I think, had a better answer. He said that he was actually looking at some old notes, because he just recently released that 40th anniversary book. So he did a lot of research into Oakley's history, digging through old notes and sketches and things like that. And he found that that titanium was one element of X metal, but a lot of things were also taken into consideration. Things like the flex coupler, the way to balance flex, or the rigidity of a metal frame that isn't a wire. Obviously, wires can stretch a bit because they're so thin, but when you have a bulky frame that's made out of magnesium or titanium or aluminum, there's going to be certain compromises you have to make in order for it to flex and fit and actually be wearable. So there was a lot of things like that that really factored into the whole X-Metal family. And as such, even though these are titanium, they do have a lot of those elements. Personally, I think they probably fit more into the aluminum line, just like the hatchet or the jury. But I don't think Oakley's really used that term in a while. They used it for the hatchet, but that's pretty much it. So I don't really care what family they're in. The X-Metal family for some has been very sacred. They mean it to be just those original few models. Has to be titanium, has to have this, that, and the other thing. There's really no room for experimenting with other different designs or other different materials or ways of achieving solutions to problems that a rigid metal frame poses. So since these are aluminum based with obviously O matter, getting back to that nose flex, the Romeo had the flex actually in the frame. So it attached at the top 2 points, and as you flex the frame, all the stress was put right into the lens, and that's where you get like the things like the spider cracks. Then the Mars came out, and they had a flex coupler. That's put the strain on the nose bridge and not the lens, but then the little plastic pieces that held the flex coupler together would stretch and it would end up being loose. So that was no good. So we had a couple more generations of that. Then we had the Half X, where there was no flex in the nose. Everything was going to be in the spring hinge. And then finally with the X squared, they went back to the flex coupler, but instead of having rivets, they replaced it with screws, so you could actually fix it yourself. So I feel like with the X squared, they kind of went through all this iteration to solve that problem with something that was reasonable. So now they've tried a new approach where this nose bridge is actually O matter. So it's just that sort of plastic material that allows it to actually flex without any need for flex couplers or anything that's metal as part of the nose bridge. Ear stem, same thing, O matter. So any part that's really going to have some flex to it, aside from the spring hinge, is O matter. Everything that's rigid is aluminum. And as you see, the newer versions of O matter are very flexible. So this thing can kind of wiggle all over the place, fit to your face, and not have any more issues. The only point of failure I can see maybe are the attachment points to the O matter, because it is using a torque screw to combine the aluminum to the O matter, and those could, in theory, loosen over time or somehow have a fault, and I don't know if those will be fixable, so time will tell to see how well these stand up over time, but it's just another piece of the evolution of them trying to fix what to do with that nose bridge. Alright, so going back to fit, these fit so much better than the original X-Metals. The original ones, for me, just felt like a vice clamp, and I've heard that said a few times, but they just pinched your head, they didn't have as much flex, they just, when you're wearing them all day long, it almost became a burden for me. These ones I can wear all day long, and I have absolutely no issues with them. And the cool thing between the Badman and the Madman is that even though this looks like it's a lot smaller fit, the actual profile is exactly the same. Mainly because the orbitals are brought in a bit. So it looks kind of silly to wear, and going out in public, you gotta be a certain type of person in order to pull these off in public. But that's where the Badman comes in, so you can wear this all day long, and it's a very conservative style, so that way there's really not going to be too many people looking at you like you're crazy, even if you are. So, going back to lens colors, we have ruby iridium, we have sapphire iridium. There's also going to be tungsten, black, and the prism daily polarized. There's also a chrome option on the Badman. So there's a few neutral options, there's a few colorful options, and things like that. There's also going to be 2 flak jackets in ruby polarized and sapphire polarized. And these are going to be Sunglass Hut exclusives for 90 days, and after that they'll be released normally. So these are kind of nice. They're just matte black with just the real colorful lens. I am a huge fan of flak jackets. I love the original half jacket, and then it took me a while to warm up to these, but then with the half jacket 2, I ended up realizing what a good thing we had with flak jackets. So I'm glad they're still continuing to do the flak jacket and not move permanently over to the half jacket 2.0. Alright, so hopefully I covered a few different things here, and if you want to check these out, these are in stores now. and they will not be in vaults for a while, so you're going to have to go to an official O store. They're also in Sunglass Hut, so you can go there if you want to pick them up. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you don't disagree with too many of my comments. If you do, that's okay too. But I just feel like these need to be sort of judged on their own merits for what they are, how they fit, how the style is, and not, what they should be based on some predetermined family name. So hopefully it didn't bother you too much, and I will definitely see you next time. So definitely check out the links in the description, check out the site, and have a good day.